26.2 is here.
You saw the pros demo it.
Well, it's cool as hell to watch the elite.
It's not realistic for most of us.
So we're throwing 2 quarterfinal level athletes with real jobs and lives into the mix.
Colton follows our online program, is a full-time firefighter, and trims trees on the side.
Versus Meg, who does classes, works in sales, and bakes the best bread this side of the Mississippi.
No last dance, no escape from the ways we've been to break. No last chance, no long days. Yeah, it all just fades away. Lost again, looking for a way out. Giving in, tearing all away now. Always falling. It's sinking in. The end's closer than we think.
Tree Guy vs. Bread Lady. Your real 26.2 demo starts now.
All right, Bread Lady, are you ready? Yeah. Tree Guys ready? All right, touch hands. Workout starts now.
All right, guys, 26.2. We're here. It's week 2. This is another style of workout where, in my mind, the separator is going to be very dependent on the level of athlete that you are. And I think there's actually like a spectrum that happens here. So Meg and Colton both, I would say, are strong quarterfinal level athletes. We'll talk about their separators as we get into it a little bit more. Just real briefly, so what we saw with the elite demo is this is a level of athlete that has such a high confidence in their rings under fatigue that they can basically allow themselves a chance to be able to sprint themselves through the first half of the workout and trust that the rings are going to be there for them later on. Now, on the far end of the other side of the spectrum is the kind of athlete that doesn't have any rings. Now, what they're going to be working for is trying to make their tie break time as fast as possible. So they also are going to be sprinting through the front half of this workout. That brings us to quarterfinal level athletes. So Meg and Colton, what you're going to see with their execution is basically them being super, super intentional with how they're approaching these buy-ins. You're going to see them breaking up early and often. They learned their lesson from last week. We're going to talk a lot about these specific movements as we go, but I think what we need here is knowing where the separation is going to come from, and also knowing that you need to set yourself up for success before you get there, which means this early in the workout, even though it's a 12, 15-minute workout, being very, very diligent with your set sizes and your overall effort.
Yeah, I mean, you could see right here, Colton just taking a break. He lowered the dumbbell from overhead to his shoulder for a second after a little bit of his lunges. And I think those intentional breaks throughout will add up overall if you're trying to get muscle up. So this is where that kind of quarterfinal level threshold needs to kind of play the game. You might need to take a little bit more breaks in chest to bars and pull-ups than you would think, because one extra muscle up would offset any break that you take anywhere else in the workout.
Yeah, absolutely. These early breaks are so valuable. It keeps you from having to do those forced breaks later on, either with no reps or a rep that you thought was going to be way harder than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I saw Colton here. I was on the side watching, and they're only supposed to be normal pull-ups in the first round, and he was like basically touching his sternum. I would try to get people to ride the line as much as possible. Like, turn your chin up, just get your chin over when you're doing normal pull-ups.
It's a hard movement when I feel like this doesn't get practiced as much.
Yes.
So whenever it comes out, everyone's like, oh, I almost did chest to bar. But then when they redo it, they actually do chin over bar.
Yeah, I think one good cue for that is, honestly, if you've got really good kipping mechanics, you don't really pull too much with your hands on just a chin over bar. It's almost like you're allowing your body line and the momentum you get from your kip to cover that vertical distance. So on those chin over bar pull-ups, try not to over pull too much with your hands. Let your body line and let your kip cover that distance for you.
Kudos to these two for their really nice overhead positions.
I'm very jealous of their overhead positions.
They both look great.
Yeah, that's actually going to be something. I mean, they're both quarterfinals level with really good positions. This could be a pretty nasty movement for people if your arm doesn't stabilize overhead well. It's only one, so most people will still be able to get into position by like leaning or using the off arm to find balance. But if you can get stacked like that where the dumbbell's over you, this can be a lot more of like a resting lunge than and
I
super
like to
hard.
use my face as a balance point. I'm serious. I like push my bicep into my face, and it's like it locks it in,
I mean,
and it's
we know
pretty
you're serious, but
comfortable.
we're still laughing at you.
Yeah, it's still weird.
The other thing that I'd keep in mind on these lunges, so it's 20 feet. I think Colton, for the most part, was taking about 6 steps. Don't overstep when you've got a weight up overhead. I think that it can be too tempting to try and cover that in as few steps as possible. I think trying to make sure that you're staying balanced and keeping that weight up stacked vertically is much more important than trying to take fewer steps. So if you're between 6 and 7, just take 7. Make them equal distance.
6, 7.
Don't do that.
How dare you?
Don't reach for your last one where you might lose balance, leave a heel on the line, and potentially get a no rep and have to go all the way back and start over.
Yeah, I think Miriam had to come back after one
She
of the
did.
lunge
Yeah,
sets.
she did.
Yeah, that's something.
That's a crazy penalty.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
for
it's a
real.
big no
And
rep.
she was still in the lead after that too.
Yeah, she was somehow still in the lead.
Yeah.
So movement tips for dumbbell snatches. I think that if we know that the gymnastics are the bigger separator here, I like these early breaks. The other thing I really like thinking about with dumbbell snatches to try and save grip and shoulders is really cueing yourself to use legs and hips as much as possible. I think that you want to put as much force into that dumbbell as you can with your lower body to make sure that you're not having to excessively press that guy out at the top.
Yeah, you had mentioned it in the lunges, and you were saying take 7 instead of 6 and take a break here. There are certain workouts where movement speed is such an important factor in overall success, but I don't think this is one of them. This workout is going to be dictated, especially for quarterfinal level, and finding that 75+% threshold is just basically going to be dictated by your muscle ups. One muscle up more is worth slower dumbbell snatches where you're staying smooth and steady. So they were transitioning the dumbbell smooth from overhead straight into the other hand. You might be able to just lower it to your shoulder and go down, slow the rep cadence down, and it still be worth it overall in the workout.
Yeah.
At this level. At the elite level, you can't do that, but
I mean, we even saw at the elite level, movement speed came back in bitter, though.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it could be like that's just where the rings were, but you can just tell, especially at this level, it's not about movement speed. It's much more about movement quality and efficiency. So if you can use as little energy as possible on these buy-in movements to try and set yourself up for where the separator is going to be, definitely go that route. Don't try and sprint through these.
yeah.
Colton brings it to his shoulder as he turns around. I don't know if I love that for this workout. I think just putting it down when you're still facing the direction that you were lunging and then turn around and just pick it right back up could save the shoulders just a little bit. And that's, like you guys said, is going to be super important for the ring muscle ups.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be resting like this anyways. I think if you're going to take 3 or 4 seconds there, finish your last rep while you're standing facing away, set it down, and then walk away and walk back to it and snatch it up.
Yeah, so they're, as we said last week, they're like safely above the 75th percentile in terms of like their overall level. There will be a group of people that maybe are quarterfinal level that are going to get bottlenecked by even the chest to bars as a gymnastics movement in this, and will be farther back than them in the overall muscle ups by the time they get there. So you might just want to strategize, like Adam had said, basically there's 3 levels, but in that kind of third or second level, there might be different strategies you want to take in terms of the pull-ups and chest to bars. If you know you're racing to the time cap, you don't want to blow up on chest to bars before you even get to the muscle ups. So just think about that as you're going through it. We said that as if you could sprint through to get to quarterfinals, but I think there's still a quarterfinal qualifier level athlete that would take a little bit more breaks in the gymnastics early for their best time cap.
Yeah,
I don't know for men, but I feel like for women, if you get one ring muscle up, that's probably going to be safe.
I think so based on statistics of past years. I don't want to say for sure because it's a smaller field and the stats always change, but I would say you're pretty safe if you set yourself up and get 1 or 2 on the girls' side. Guys is usually more. I think the data we took, which I can't remember off the top of my head for sure, but I think it was like somewhere around 5 to 10 for guys. I don't know if that would be true in this specific workout, but I don't think 1 will be good enough for guys.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So Colton's almost done with his, can we just call this a giant buy-in?
So he just finished, right? He's into the rings now.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Meg's
So around
right behind him.
740
Yeah.
or so.
Yeah, and then Meg's got, I think, 1 more set of snatches.
So Colton's breathing hard here, but I do think that it's almost like him calming himself down and getting ready. So he was confident with this. He had said before he was thinking that he could open with somewhere around 4 to 5. If I remember right, he's going to knock out a set of 4 here, and you're going to see he catches these really high. It's definitely a movement that he's confident with under levels of fatigue.
Yeah, Colton's gymnastics are his strong point.
Because he's climbing trees all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And then Meg, she slowed down a bit on this last round, which I think was very smart because for her, it's a game of I need to be able to get muscle up. So even if you have a pacing strategy and you are similar to Meg, where you're worried about executing muscle ups, if you feel like you're getting too hot going through the workout, just slow down.
Yes.
Because you don't have to, stay married to your pace. The muscle up is all that matters, really.
Yeah. And before the workout, Meg thought she was like just had a goal of getting 1, and then she was like, if I get 1, 5 would be pretty good. But I think most people will kind of be in that threshold that they should be strategizing to just make sure that they get the 1. So pulling back right before it was probably smart, because Colton pushed all the way through it and still had to rest for 25 seconds before his first set.
Noob question. What's the difference between these short straps and long straps?
So short straps, I think, are easier to dip out of. Long straps make the dip a little bit harder. But if you train a lot on long straps, I think you can utilize your kit more to make the turnover a little bit easier.
Yeah, like you could time the swing better.
Yeah,
almost.
but either, like, if you've only ever used short straps and you're like, oh, I'm going to long strap, don't do that. And same for the other way around. Like, you have to train on the movement. And Meg did it.
Nice.
Was that the first
Meg.
one? It was solid.
Yeah, so she rested a minute before that first attempt. And she looks great. She catches super high. I've never seen her do muscle ups before, so I didn't know like what her level was here. When they get back on the rings, I want to kind of pick apart some of their technique.
Yeah, but just the fact that she had a 1 minute transition in that first rep just kind of goes to show you how little movement speed matters on the front end of this workout.
For sure.
Yeah. And how little intensity is going to be there at the end of the workout, because she's going to have 5 minutes to work here, and it's just a couple reps with a lot of rest in between. And that's what most people who are trying to qualify for quarterfinals.
So you'll notice
like.
when Colton's going, his rings start to swing a lot, and he's almost like chasing them forward in the turnover more and more on each rep, which makes it harder to turn over. That like sit-up position gets way more tiring when the rings are in front of you. If I were to cue him, I would say to work on opening up his arch position, which is definitely a bit of a mobility thing. But I think even if his thoracic mobility doesn't improve at all, he can still stay in the arch a little bit longer.
This position right here?
Yep.
Yeah, so you see the heels go to the butt instead of like a long shape there.
Yeah, so you want to think of the arch as like your reset. That's where you put the rings back where you want them to be into the turnover. And in order to do that, you need to stay in the arch as long as possible, which is kind of like counterintuitive.
Should I link our Dude Learns Ring Muscle Up videos?
Absolutely.
He's on his last rep. So he was on 15 there. He thought he could knock out a set of 5, but that 19th rep was pretty hard to turn over. So I think he's just got a single left.
And he crushes
That
it.
should be the last one.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy. Tree
Great
guy
job.
for the
Well
win.
done.
Tree guy for the
We're all
win.
tied up,
We are all
baby.
tied up. Well, I
1
don't
and
know.
1.
What if she throws her chip?
Well, you know what's funny is we have this chip rule.
Don't do it. Meg, don't do it.
No chips.
I do think she should redo this one because I think she can go faster
I
on the
think
muscle
that,
ups.
that what
after
she did
seeing-
here, so she ended up, should we have a spoiler alert and say how many she got?
Yeah, it's okay.
She got 9 total, which was amazing considering that 1 was the goal. But what I think that really does for a redo attempt is it just makes her more confident in them. So now she knows that they're really going to be there for me. And I think that her rest breaks actually got a little bit tighter and tighter as she went. Maybe
Yeah,
you have
so
the splits.
she finished the buy-in at 8:30, hit her first rep at 9:30, and then she was on about a 45-second clock until her 5th rep, and then she started chipping away like 5 to 10 seconds from there. So she wasn't getting less tired. I mean, maybe she was a little bit from being away from the work, but she's still accumulating reps here.
Yeah.
So I think if she redid it, I'd say try to go on a 30-second clock and see if you can.
I think it's probably still a long break before the first one, just to make sure that first rep sets confidence. So maybe call that 45 to 50 instead of the 60. But then from there, just sort of knowing how well these are looking at the end and just building confidence in yourself that they're going to be there for you. I think that she can improve and get a couple more for sure.
Yeah, these workouts are generally, they don't really seem like it because it's like, well, your muscle ups are your muscle ups, but these workouts are actually great repeat workouts because you go through it and then you understand what is your average rep like per 45 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. And you can do math and just cut off 5 seconds in between each rest break. And that could add 2 or 3 total reps, which is huge on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, if she got one more rep, that's going to be
Exactly.
such a huge. These
Yeah.
reps are so important. So, what I would change on Meg's muscle ups is when she jumps up, she jumps and then she almost like pulls herself into a pull up and then goes down into the arch. This is a super common thing that so many athletes do. I think it's to like help feel like you're confident in your grip, but what it's really doing is it's starting to make the rings swing before you have actually started the rep. So they're
is she doing
going
again?
the
So
wrong
watch-
way.
watch
she does
she
like
jumps
she
up.
jumps up and does like a half pull up to go into the swing.
Yeah,
So
so
she's
she'll,
about to
in like 10
jump.
seconds, she's going to hop up.
Watch her elbows bend after she grabs them.
Yeah.
She like,
Oh, that.
yeah. So I think she's just trying to get her knuckles over the bar. I'd say the solution to that is put a mat down so that you don't feel like you have to jump so high. But if she can jump up with straight arms, think of it as like your arms are just levers at that point, and then she swings her legs forward and then back without moving the rings, then she's not going to be chasing the rings forward in her turnover, which she's doing on every rep. It's not a huge deal for singles, but as she continues, like if that's a habit she doesn't break, she's going to have the same issue Colton's having, where the rings keep getting further and further in front of her.
And they end up swinging a lot more, and you lose your timing and your rhythm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The technical side of muscle ups are obviously not going to be something that you can master in one session now that the workout was released, but doing some like basic warm-ups, body shaping, body positions, it might just help reinforce making them a little bit more efficient at the end of the workout.
I do think those two cues might be help, like the Colton stay longer in the arch. I do think that's something people can just kind of do right away, especially if they're comfortable with muscle ups.
It's a great
the
dismount.
arm pull, I'm not sure. That might throw you off too much if you've never done it before.
Well, the good thing about Meg is I think the backup for her is just sort of the confidence that she has with these attempts and knowing that she can increase the frequency of it a little bit.
Yeah, and she can make some sourdough bread tonight.
All right, good job, everybody. Shout out to the TTT CrossFit affiliate crew. Y'all came out in big numbers. We appreciate that. Let's see what they had to say.
All right, right here I have the names of our lucky winners for the $250 road gift card. But first, let's hear a word from some insight from our demos of how this workout went for them. What was the hardest part of this workout?
The lunges and the dumbbell were the worst part.
Really, not the ring muscle ups.
No. Dumbbell.
Bread Lady, walk me through your strategy. What went to plan? What did not? What would you change next time?
Well, I've never done ring muscle up in the open, so I was just hoping to get one. So I'm happy. I was just trying to make sure I could keep doing ring muscle ups to give y'all something to watch.
I gotta know, so at what point did the gluten start to kick in and help you rise up?
And the lunges, they weren't hard for me at all because I eat a lot of bread.
All right, Tree Guy, you just took the W. Please tell me, how do you stay so rooted in a workout like that?
Rings don't like bread.
Now we're gonna release the winners of the $250 road gift card. Bread Lady, will you do the honors?
Sure.
Tree Guy, will you do the honors?
All right, the winner for Team Bread Lady is Rachel 1502. Did I read the comment?
Show it to me.
Congrats, Rachel 1502. Thank you for being on the right team, Team Bread.
All right, Tree Guy, what you got?
Team Tree Guy, Elliot Rodriguez TV.
Let's see it. All right, so if that's your comment.
Congratulations to our two winners. Thank you for watching. Good luck on 26.2.
See you next week.